There's an amazing Norm Macdonald YouTube channel called I'm Not Norm. I actually think I heard someone say that it was his channel, but he just never claimed it, kind of like an unofficial, official Norm channel, which was going when he was still alive, still kicking after the great man's death. And last night on my YouTube feed, audio clip popped up. It was like a 25-minute clip from him doing a horrific morning zoo radio interview, I think from like 15 years ago or something, where he was doing his norm thing where he was talking about like his worldview, his kind of philosophy, but the host couldn't tell whether it was a bit or not. And yeah, he was being kind of like morose and kind of depressive and explaining how objects don't make him happy. He he hadn't had sex in a decade. He didn't drink or smoke anymore. And because he was like just, yeah, man. I'll try and do a norm. Yeah, just trying to look reality in the right in the face, man. It's hard, you know. Yeah, I'll give myself maybe a 2.5 out of 10. But yeah, he was, and one thing he was mentioning, because they were like, Norm, you cannot be serious. You're a tall, handsome, good looking, rich guy in Hollywood. You must be living the life. He's like, no, I'm not. It's a bit too Seinfeld. But he was also talking about fantasy. He was talking about, I try not to live in fantasy, you know. It's for children. We all we all have flights of fancy. I'm gonna stop now. But yeah, he was talking about how we have a tendency to live in a fantasy world, and he was just saying how pathetic that is, how we are unwilling to accept the reality of our situation. So we resort to acting like children where we have a pretend world inside our head about how we want the world to be or what we want our futures to be like. Or even like you could even smooth over the rough edges of your past with a fantasy world, or like, yeah, reframe your own personal history, which it is kind of pathetic and childlike. And we all do it from time to time to differing degrees. One person who I know does this, who you can just tell, and he's talked about it, he's a massive manifest merchant, is Bert Kreischer. I said his name wrong. Bert Kreischer, aka Builder Kirschner. When I was in Minnesota earlier this year to try and see the Viagra Boys, we didn't get to see the show because my friend got too drunk. But Bert Kreischer was playing a fucking stadium, and when we were in the Irish bar at 11 a.m., it was super quiet. We're talking to the bar wench, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be busy here later, eh? There's a comic playing the Ford Stadium, whatever the big fucking stadium is in downtown Minneapolis." And we're like, "Which comedian is playing a fucking stadium?" And she's like, "Oh, Bill Kirshner," which I think is like a fucking your mom's house bit where every man, woman, and child gets Bert Kreischer's name wrong, even in formal settings such as radio interviews or television announcements. And I think I just did one before. But anyway, Bert Kreischer talks about how he like every year on his birthday he takes himself out for lunch and writes his goals just by himself when he's on his solo birthday lunch. And say what you like about the dude, it's fucking working out exactly as he planned. As I imagine he has flights of fancy in his head about what Bert wants Bert to do or what Bert wants to happen with Bert's life. And I'm pretty sure those dreams are coming true for Bert. So Bert's flights of fancy to have a fucking a Hollywood produced movie about his machine story and to fucking sell out stadiums and to go on fucking, fucking birdie boy cruises and all the dumb shit that he does. They're all fucking coming true. So what is the utility of having a fantastical world inside your head? Is it is it gonna like, because like take the Bert example, for instance. What is he actually picturing in his head? Is he literally picturing the feeling of um walking on stage and selling out that 20,000 person stadium in downtown Minneapolis? Is he kind of like visualizing it and kind of like imagining what his body's going to feel like the scene he's going to be able to survey, how it's going to sound? Is he literally going into that granular detail? Or is it more just kind of like a vibe? Like I want this kind of like to feel, to feel content, or to kind of like, or more just like a practical visualization. Like this is what I want my like average day to look like. Because I feel like um, the risk of like trying to predict your future to, let's say you're doing it in a utilitarian way where you're like, I'm fantasizing not just to kind of like as this masturbatory exercise. I'm doing it because I'm trying to give myself something to work towards, this like amazing feeling of walking out and there being thousands of screaming fans. That's something that I'm chasing internally. So when it gets difficult, when I'm tired, I'm hungover, I don't want to do the work that I need to do, whether it be promotion or writing in my hotel room. I'm going to do it because I'm chasing this feeling that I've manifested inside my head. If you manifest a little too accurately or like too uh viscerally, then when the situation happens, do you feel underwhelmed because you're like, even though on paper this is what I wanted, it's not quite the same as I imagined in my head, so therefore it loses its weight? Or I'm trying to defend the birdie boy manifest reality thought here, or like allowing yourself to wallow in flights of fancy. Do you remember the first time or the first few times that you fell in love or you were infatuated with someone, and you're in that early stage of the courtship, even if it's like a fucking one night stand or someone that you like, you sense that you draw like two magnets, like you feel drawn to one another, and there's a connection, there's like a vibe. The the fantasy that you can kind of like have in your head about what's going to happen, it exists, but then like when the reality unfolds and you take shit to the next level, it's still like mesmerizing, um and it rocks you because you're kind of like, oh, I can't I didn't imagine I could feel this way about someone. Or it's like it's all encompassing. And there's some cheesy quote about like, you're in love when your reality is better than your dreams. Like you go to bed thinking of this person, your dreams are infiltrated by them. And in your dreams, it's all fucking lovey dovey and everything's groovy. But then the next morning you wake up and you know that that was a fantasy, but you don't care because you're like, well, I've got the real feeling of like being in the real world and being able to pursue this person and like feeling like your paths are tangled together and there's going to be a collision. Maybe that's what happens. You have a pining for something, and you feel infatuated by the idea of the fantasy that you're creating. But then once you actually arrive at the moment in reality, it's better than you could have ever fantasized because it's real. And it's because it's real, it's surprising, and just that the weight of the situation is far more moving than you could have ever hypothesized inside your own mind. So even though there is like a big part of me that wants to kind of eliminate the flights of fancy. There are the dumb flights of fancy where you're like, yeah, imagine I'm in a fucking rock band and I don't know, I'm playing bass for Guns N' Roses. Duff's gone down with a bit of appendicitis, and they said, yeah, we know you haven't played bass for 15 years, but fucking you're up, Tommy. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there, boys. There's those ones where it's like, there's no way that's happening. I don't even really want it to happen. It's just because fucking Welcome to the Jungle came on loud at the fucking dive bar that I'm at, and I've had 3 Jack and Cokes and I'm feeling a little bit giddy. That's in no way that fantasy is just like this a literal just like a dumb fucking movie I'm watching in my head while I'm waiting for my fucking friend to arrive at the bar. Those flights of fancy, you kind of think, well, they're fun in the moment, but if you kind of like spend too much of your time watching movies, you're not really kind of like using your brain power in a very useful way. So with those ones, I'm with Norm. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. They're just completely like fucking they're bubblegum thoughts that have no nutrition. But maybe for things that you feel like are worthwhile and you're actually putting blood, sweat, and tears into, there is a utility to being to allowing yourself fantasies about things that you actually want, because you could maybe harness that sensation a little bit more and kind of like charge towards it a little bit better. All right. Are you wallowing in flights of fancy? Do I ever appear in your flights of fancy? Oh, please. All right. Catch you on the next one. Bye.